Hollywood loves history. Stories of kings and queens, revolutions and wars, and great explorers all make for box office gold. But sometimes in their quest for drama, filmmakers take, well, a few creative liberties. Welcome to Weird Rewind, where today we'll uncover some historical-based films that lean more on the fictional side of history. Starting with everyone's favorite Braveheart, the ultimate tale of Scottish hero William Wallace, portrayed by Mel Gibson in a kilt, which he likely never wore. Let's start right there. In 13th century Scotland, kilts weren't a thing yet. Historians agree that Wallace would have worn something far more practical and, well, medieval. Then there's the question of stature. Mel Gibson, as fit as he may be, was no William Wallace. It is documented that the real Braveheart stood at 6 foot 7 inches tall. Of course, there's no official measurement, but his sword, which is kept on display in Stirling, Scotland, is a whopping 5 foot 4 inches tall. It would take someone well over 6 foot tall to wield that beast. Either way, a 5'9" Mel Gibson doesn't exactly show the true physical might of this legend. And then there's that passionate affair with Princess Isabella of France. Another swing and miss. Isabella was just a child when Wallace was executed in 1305. Not to mention, she didn't even set foot in England until after his death. But the inaccuracies don't stop there. The film's depiction of the Battle of Stirling Bridge famously leaves out the bridge. Yes, the actual battle took place on a narrow wooden bridge, which was a strategic game-changer for Wallace's forces. Despite its sweeping cinematography and rousing speeches, Braveheart is riddled with inaccuracies. It's less a history lesson and more a medieval soap opera. Next, we've got the amazing picture by Zack Snyder, 300. While it's visually stunning and endlessly quotable, its depiction of the Battle of Thermopylae is more a myth than reality. For starters, the real Spartans wore heavy armor, not leather briefs and capes. Imagine fighting a formidable, highly trained Persian army with almost no protection. Not practical. Regarding the numbers, 300 against 1,000,000 as it was advertised sure does sound cool. But these numbers are way off. At the Battle of Thermopylae, there were several other Greek city-states that accompanied King Leonidas. A more accurate number was probably somewhere within the realm of 7,000 against about 120,000, which is still crazy. The Greeks were outnumbered 17-1, and if they hadn't been betrayed by Ephialtes, who showed the Persians a flanking passage, the Greeks might have won. And what about King Xerxes? The film portrays him as a towering, gold-plated demigod. In reality, he was just a regular human king. Yes, he was powerful, but the exaggerated depiction of him as a flamboyant giant is pure fiction. And let's address the elephant in the room, or should we say the war rhino. There's absolutely no historical evidence that Persians used war rhinos in battle. Cool visual? Yes. Historically accurate? Not even close. Then we have the childhood classic, Disney's Pocahontas. But historians would call it nothing short of total BS. For starters, Pocahontas was around 10 or 11 years old when she met John Smith. Not the young adult that we see in the film, and there was no romantic relationship between them, because that would be gross, though not unspeakable for 16th century imperialists. The film also overlooks the grim realities of colonization. The arrival of the English settlers wasn't a peaceful cultural exchange. It led to conflict, disease, and devastating impacts on the Powhatan people. Pocahontas' life was far more tragic than the movie shows. She was taken captive by the English, converted to Christianity, and married off to John Rolfe before dying in England at just 21. While the movie promotes understanding and harmony, it sugarcoats a deeply complex and painful chapter in history. Next up, we touch on quite possibly one of the greatest films of all time, Gladiator. Truly epic in scale, but when talking about historical accuracy, it missed the mark massively. For starters, Emperor Commodus did fight as a gladiator, but it was more for show. He never faced off against Maximus, who, well, never existed. Commodus was indeed killed by a gladiator, but not in the way the film displays. At the time of major political conspiracy, his mistress attempted to poison Commodus, but for whatever reason, it didn't seem to work. So instead, the conspirators sent Commodus's wrestling partner in to strangle him to death while he was taking a bath. Something that's also commonly misrepresented in film or TV are the gladiatorial games. They actually weren't the free-for-all bloodbaths that are often depicted. They were highly organized events with rules, referees, and often a focus on spectacle rather than slaughter. And speaking of spectacle, eagle-eyed viewers notice a rather modern addition to the film. A crew member in jeans caught on camera. A small oversight, but one that's hard to unsee once you know it's there. Finally, and as a special mention, you might have seen U-571. You know, that early 2000s film with Matthew McConaughey, Harvey Keitel, Bill Paxton, and John Bon Jovi. Now, if you have seen it, you might think it was American sailors as the heroes, those who captured the German Enigma machine during World War II. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. That honor goes to the British, who secured the first Enigma device in 1941, months before the US even entered the war. You can learn more about this in the more accurate film, The Imitation Game. The film's rewriting of history caused outrage in the UK, with critics accusing it of diminishing British contributions to the war effort. It's a gripping movie, sure, but let's give credit where it's due. Hollywood may bend the truth, but history deserves respect. These films, while entertaining, remind us to take what we see on screen with a grain of salt. Like with most things, not everything is as it seems. What's your favorite historically inaccurate movie? Let us know in the comments below, and if we missed one, we'd love to know all about it. As always, keep questioning the past to understand the present. See you in the next Rewind.